my heavens, this one has caused a lot of debate, and I maybe can see why. Star Trek 11, despite a lack of number. Hard to believe it's got into this many movies, because Lord knows some of those previous movies, not the greatest. But regardless, here we are, directed by J.J. Abrams. The new Star Trek reboot/sequel is worth seeing. Yeah, after Nemesis, which was not the greatest movie, was kind of a letdown, this is definitely one that I would actually recommend. Now, I do have some problems with it. I do not think it is deserving of the 95% rating it currently holds on Rotten Tomatoes. I'll go into that a little later, though. To start the story, it basically reboots the original series. So we have the younger versions of the characters of Kirk, Spock, Bones, Scotty, Sulu, whatever, all of them. You know them, more than likely. If you don't, this is still a pretty good place to start, but I'll also get into that later. The story, without spoiling too much, is about Captain Kirk, who I guess I've already made a spoiler there, but no, the trailer tells you that. The story is about Kirk as a child, who is the son of a member of Starfleet, which is an intergalactic peacekeeping organization, and his troubled youth, as well as his meteoric rise to both fame and success through Starfleet, and his dealings with the evil Romulan Nero, who has come out of nowhere and threatens the peace of the universe. That's really kind of a vague synopsis, but I don't think that's spoiling anything. It's basically what you get from the trailer. For the original series, fans who have seen most of it, as I have, either on TV or on the sets, Lord knows I don't know how much that would cost. I've just seen tons of it on TV. But anyway, the story, I think, really holds up. I want to do a spoiler section, so I'm going to go ahead and say, give it another 30 seconds and come back. Spoiler starting now. Alright, first off, I just wanted to say the spoilers are pretty heavy, but it's mainly explaining why it's a pseudo-sequel or why it's not technically a remake. It largely involves a time travel plot involving Nero and Spock, where, without further spoiling, it's getting kind of confusing, but Nero is from the future, and Spock comes back there as well. So, in that, they have created an alternate universe in which they can go back and visit the younger versions of these characters, and now we're following these sets of characters instead of the Next Generation, which is currently the Enterprise leader in Prime Universe. Alright, end spoilers. Thought the story was pretty well done. It has a few shortcomings. I think the way that they tried to reboot it was really inventive, and I appreciated that it wasn't just a let's ignore everything else that happened. I thought it added a cool, even further sci-fi element to it, even though, especially with a lot of elements in the Star Trek universe, and even more so in this movie, it's a lot of bullshitology that doesn't make any sense if you actually stop and think about it. But that's besides the point. This is Star Trek. We're not looking for amazing, accurate science fiction. We want to see the Enterprise go out, kick some ass, maybe some philosophical ideas thrown in there, some great chemistry between the crew, and a lot of bridge blowing up. That's what Star Trek is all about, in my opinion, and I think this movie perfectly delivers on it, in that respect. I think the duality of Spock and Kirk that they play up a lot in this movie works really well, and I think that the chemistry between them in the end, when, okay, not really spoilers, you can figure it out, in the end, when they do become united as a crew, really makes you feel good. And there's a little tidbit right at the end, which is a throwback to the old series, that almost brings a nostalgic tear to your eye. It's quite nice in that respect. The acting for all of the characters is very nice. A little varied. I thought that Kirk was played extremely well. Zachary Quinto as Spock, I thought was well done, but not as nearly as well done as everybody somehow imagines him to be. Bones, on the other hand, Carl Urban as Bones, was very funny and very on key. Simon Pegg as Scotty, also very funny. Maybe a little more comical than what Scotty was, but who gives a shit? This is a reboot, Eric Bana, who as the villain, is technically a good villain. I really like Eric Bana's acting in this, and I like his motives. But at the same time, in the movie, he doesn't really do a whole lot. His character is slightly underplayed. Nonetheless, he does provide a very, very real threat that's throughout the movie. And the movie pulls off a few things story-wise that, frankly, I didn't expect. And while I'm on the topic of things I didn't expect, this movie is really aware of the Star Trek legacy. Not in that the actual story itself betrays it, but there is so many callbacks to the original series, I cannot even count them. There's a red shirt in here, green girl in here, Sulu fences, and if you got all three of those, especially the last one, congratulations, you're gonna like this movie, and are also a huge nerd like I am. But it was really cool, and they had all the catchphrases, and I disagree with some reviewers who have said that it kind of stops the movie for the catchphrase. I thought they integrated them perfectly. And as far as plot and character-wise, I was quite satisfied. Now, my problems with the movie. The action was astounding, and the visual effects were the best I've ever seen, basically. How's that a negative? Well, without saying a whole lot, near the end of the movie, or not even near the end of the movie, there really wasn't that much ship-to-ship battle. It was a lot of hand-to-hand featuring more of the actors, and while I appreciate necessarily the not having a massive redundancy of having the bridge blown up to smithereens 10 times over, I almost kind of wanted a little of that. So it's like, I gotta mark it down a little for that, but this is still not gonna affect my rating. I thought everything was very nicely done, very tactfully handled. There's a time jump earlier on in the movie that I didn't think maybe I could have used without it. I do understand it to keep the pacing up. It was to keep the pacing up, so that's okay. Lastly, I just wanted to say, that music in the trailer was absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. I didn't really notice the music a whole lot in this movie. It was good, but not as mind-blowing as I thought it would be. Minor gripes, though, this is definitely a movie you need to see. Well, while a slightly gimped action segment, or ship-to-ship action segment and music do somewhat hamper the movie, this is definitely a movie you need to see in theaters. It's big, it's loud, and it's still Star Trek, amazingly enough. I really want to see these new actors go on and do more. However, I would also like them, maybe not necessarily to remake, like The Wrath of Khan and whatnot, but just give a few allusions to things. If anyone has seen the new, more recently released pilot episode for Caprica, Battlestar Galactica, they make some really cool callbacks in that I thought, I think they should continue with the callbacks, I guess is more what I'm saying, while going with this new storyline. I don't think they should remake the old movies, because God knows some of those were freaking terrible, to say the least. Oh, those whales. Anyway, Star Trek, the reboot, is worth seeing. J.J. Abrams puts another winner on his list right beside Cloverfield, and I can't wait to see what he does next. I hear he's not directing the new movie, which is sad, but they've definitely set the series off in a good direction. And this comes as a large surprise to me. I'm a massive fan of space opera, but did not see this coming. Anyway, go watch it. Great. Definitely theater movie. IMAX if you can, though they all appear to be sold out. Help boost this movie. It's not making enough money. It should definitely make more money than it is making. If Wolverine is at $260 million, this should at least be above $200 million before this weekend is over.